Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Patsun, and today we're going to be taking a look at r/slash relationship advice, where OP is dealing with an absolutely shitty situation. Let's begin. I found my wife to be planning a long-term affair to finish school and clear debt. Posted by Reddit user Hopeful Pessimist.
Sorry if this is a long one, been stewing a while. Also typing this on the phone so may have some bad grammar and misspellings. I had some red flags while I visited my in-laws for the holidays. My wife invited a coworker who helped her drop a vehicle off at the airport for our return. She worked over holidays and planned to meet us until all flights were canceled. She told me that he came into the house with one of his kids and wife who waited in the vehicle. When I returned home, I mentioned I wasn't happy to learn some random guy I never met was in my house. She deflected at a female coworker I had over 2 years ago and that it was the same thing. She never came into my house or ever hung out outside of work. These thoughts and flags consumed me, and I decided to look at her text later that weekend only to find what I stated in the title, complete with how she needed to play the game for 2 years to get on her feet and how she was risking everything. He agreed with all of her rules and they planned every moment they could be together at work or school. I later found more texts that weekend, further laying a foundation to include they couldn't see other people despite both cheating on their spouses. I have 3 kids, he and his wife have 2. I contact his wife and we start finding even more stuff and talking crap on both me and his wife. I record everything I can and we plan to confront them together. We do it the next day when we find them together at their school. My wife asks if I planned a divorce and I said yes. I ask her what she would do with her stuff. She says she needs to start packing and leaves. My wife is only concerned that we have joint custody of the kids, storms off, and destroys all of her devices because she thinks I'm tracking her. I go home to find her packing. She bawls her eyes out saying she never meant to hurt me and feels terrible for everything. Saying despite the 2 years of friendship, they only kissed the day I found the messages. I actually believe this due to the messages. Things like, I guess we're official, and will you be my boyfriend? I leave the house for some errands and return to see she's not there. She wouldn't tell me where she was, only that she was safe. I later learn it was an Airbnb that she rented until she found something more permanent. He leaves his wife and joins mine, where she later tells me they consummated their relationship. Over the next few days I lie to the children that mom had to work a lot, and we wait until the beginning of the weekend to tell them that mom would no longer live in the house with us. We did it together and tried to stay united. She makes a plan to hang out with the kids the following Monday, and to start packing more of her stuff. Sunday night before that day, she hacks into one of my accounts and sees all the messages between his wife and I spoke a lot about fighting for my children and adding context to specific things my wife mentioned in texts with her new boyfriend. My wife goes into a rage, asking me how it felt to have my privacy violated, and turns towards specific things I said while angry about fighting for my kids. My wife then decides to take a bunch of RX meds for her mental health and doesn't contact me until 4 p.m. the day we are to pack. I made contact earlier in the day with her boyfriend, who claims she's groggy, but doing okay. When she calls me at 4 p.m., she's noticeably on drugs, tells me she took an entire bottle. She's never done this in the 11 years together, and claims 16 years sober and hopes I regret causing her to take her own life. I contact EMS, demand the address from her boyfriend and rush to the house. He arrives shortly after. I have a long talk with her while she cuddle him. She remembers nothing until late evening on Tuesday and leave her with him. She attempts to get into the house on Tuesday to get her things, but I told her and her boyfriend she will not be near the kids while on drugs and he's not allowed anywhere near my kids. I speak to her parents that day, wanted her to explain to them, but by this point didn't want the first call to be about a funeral. They are more than devastated but are willing to help me any way possible. She comes back drug-free on Wednesday to move her stuff. She learned how to use a dolly that day. I inform her I spoke to her parents. She's upset, but understands why I did. We take the kids together for dinner that night and she leaves. Over the rest of the week she sees the kids often as we try and find a new normal. At this point my work schedule has completely shifted and I have a great group I work with that are more than supportive. This is where I'm struggling now. The following week, she asks to take the kids to the new place. I agree as long as he's nowhere near them. Her and her boyfriend agree to this. While he wasn't there, she made no effort to try and conceal that she's living with a new man. My kids see everything that's his, and when I pick them up to leave, my son mentions how much this guy is like me and must be a good roommate. Hits me like a blade through the heart on top of all the emotional trauma the last few weeks have been. I want things to remain cordial and have equal parenting rights so the kids have their mother, but it's getting harder to know they will eventually find out the truth and how that will go for them. For now, the kids believe that we are not together because we fight too much. She apologized for not doing as much to conceal it. and states that at least they didn't meet him or know his name. TLDR. My wife of 11 years ran out of the house with her new man, wants to remain civil, and makes little effort to conceal to the kids she's with someone else.
OP, there are some things that are truly unforgivable in a marriage, and this is one of them. She not only destroyed your entire relationship, but she is traumatizing the children as well. The only thing that you can do right now is to try and create a healthy environment for the kids and put on a strong, happy face. And obviously, keep a record of everything because this is absolutely going to be very important during their divorce. OP, I think you really need to at least inform your kids of what's going on because the last thing you want is for her to alienate you. You can't cover it up and let the kids grow up thinking that this abrupt life change was an equal decision. No, it is not. Your wife chose this. She chose her boyfriend over your family. OP, it will be a lot harder down the road. They might even resent you for it if you don't tell them right now. I hope you can give us an update, but at least for now, good luck to you, my friend. Our second story is from r/pro revenge. My boss stole my Super Bowl tickets, so I made him lose a major client. Posted by Reddit user Branson on.
With the NFL playoffs back on, I thought you all might enjoy this football-related revenge story. I'm a huge 49ers fan, the rabid all-day tailgate in the parking lot type. A few years ago, we made it back to the Super Bowl. I was working at a consulting firm with a handful of accounts I would interact with directly. One client in particular knew how big of a Niners fan I was. I was the day-to-day lead on his account. He really liked working with me and we became friends, often grabbing drinks or dinner after our meetings. He had access to a pair of extra company seats to the game, and as a thank you, wanted to give them to me as a gift. He passed the tickets over to the partner on that account, who I will refer to as Dickhead Partner, to be given to me as a surprise. The game came and went. We lost. It sucked. The next time we met, we went to drinks afterward and he mentioned, "Hey, by the way, why didn't you go to the game? I heard someone else was in your seats." I asked what game. He said the Super Bowl. Confused, I answered I didn't have seats to the Super Bowl. He told me that he gave Dickhead Partner a pair of his company tickets for me as a gift so I could attend. I had zero idea what he was talking about. He looked shocked, told me to quietly ask around about it and get back to him. When I was back in the office the next week, I found out through one of the secretaries that Dickhead Partner had given a pair of Super Bowl tickets to another one of his clients as a gift from our company. I might have let this sort of thing go to keep the peace under different circumstances, but these were seats on the 30-yard line to see the fucking 49ers play in the Super Bowl. I was pissed. I considered confronting Dickhead Partner myself, but realized it was the client who had noticed I wasn't there in the first place. So if I let him handle it, there would be no blowback on me. So I texted him, "Hey, I just wanted to thank you so much for thinking of me with those seats. It appears that they were given to another one of our firm's clients." He texted back right away in all caps, "Are you shitting me? And then pretend I never told you, let me handle." He followed up with me about formulating a plan. A few days later, we were asked to come down for a meeting in their office. The client requested the partner be present. Not entirely unusual, so Dickhead Partner and I hopped a flight the next week and headed over to their office. Little did Dickhead Partner know my client had orchestrated a wonderfully awkward little show to catch him red-handed. When we entered the conference room, it was all the usual suspects along with a woman in her 30s we didn't recognize. My client immediately introduces Dickhead Partner. "This is Stephanie such and such, VP from other department. She wanted to sit in on this meeting. Hey OP, you guys must already know her from the Super Bowl." She then responds as she goes to shake my hand, "Oh, I don't think so. Did we meet there? I'm sorry if I forgot." Client responds, "Geez Steph, how much did you have to drink? They were sitting right next to you." Client looks at me and I say, "Sorry client, I wasn't there. Are you thinking of someone else?" At this point, Dickhead Partner is looking visibly uncomfortable, probably trying to come up with an excuse. He starts in with an when Stephanie says over him, "No, so-and-so from other company were in the other seats. By the way, I was wondering why we gave company seats to those guys. Is there a project we're working with them on that I don't know about?" Obviously not. They were in completely different industries. It would be like Coca-Cola partnering with John Deere. Dickhead Partner lets out an again, and the client immediately speaks over him asking Dickhead Partner, "I gave you those tickets for OP." At this point, Dickhead Partner is turning bright red. He responds, "Oh, well, he wasn't able to make it, so he must have given the seats away to someone else," and turns to me looking for me to cover for him. Client smirks at me. I respond, what are you talking about? Client, you gave me tickets to the Super Bowl. Client suddenly raises his voice. Dickhead partner, those tickets were a personal thank you gift from me to OP. Did you give them away to someone else? Was it another client? Dickhead partner butts in with maybe something got mixed up in the office. Client went quiet for what probably seemed like an eternity to dickhead partner. He then looked down, grabbed his portfolio and iPad, put them into his briefcase and said, I think this meeting is over. OP, it seems as if I owe you a thank you gift. Let's go to lunch. Stephanie, you're welcome to join. Dickhead partner, I need to evaluate our relationship. Please go back home and expect to hear from us next week. Dickhead partner suggests he would like to join, presumably to do damage control, and Stephanie sternly tells him I don't think that's a good idea, and asks the front desk to see dickhead partner out. As soon as he is in the elevator, we all break out laughing hysterically. Stephanie wasn't really a VP, just an employee at the company who client had drafted into helping with his pre-planned meeting skit. But she did end up coming to lunch with us and was a fellow Niners fan and total blast to hang out with. On our way to the restaurant, I got a desperate text from dickhead partner saying I needed to cover for the firm and that we could discuss things when I got back. I replied, yes, we need to talk, but I'll see what I can do. Client told me to wait a couple hours and then respond to him. 1. To expect invoices for the resale value of the Super Bowl tickets. Resale is way above face value. It was over $10,000 as well as our lunch. He picked a pricey spot and made a big show of overspending, and that he expected them to be paid immediately. 2. Expected I be given a direct apology. 3. Expected a written apology to his company for what he considered theft. And 4. He will only interact with me or another one of our firm's partners. Never dickhead partner. This whole thing caused a stir with the other partners, and I actually came off looking great because it appeared that I had made a good faith effort to save the client for the firm despite being the victim in this situation. The client would transfer to another partner, which meant dickhead partner lost his profit share on any work with them. Oh, and the other partners in the firm made dickhead partner pay the invoices back out of his salary. In retrospect, I really have no idea what the hell the guy was thinking. Did he seriously believe the client would just not notice me not thanking him for Super Bowl tickets? Anyway, the well was kind of poisoned for me there long term because dickhead partner wasn't going anywhere. I left the firm a few months later for a much better position. Client ultimately terminated their relationship with that firm a year later. He actually now works with a good friend of mine at a competing firm. I'm still pissed I missed out on the Super Bowl even though we lost, hoping we make it back this year so I can finally go to one in person. Go Niners!
Look, I have to be honest here. I do not get the hype around the Super Bowl or American football in general because, I live in Asia and I am not at all American. But what I do understand is that you do not fuck with the people who make your business profitable. I mean, imagine just what sort of piece of shit human being you have to be to essentially steal a $10,000 ticket from one of your subordinates. Disgusting to say the least. Even worse, he gave it to another client. It should be obvious that the other seats nearby would be occupied by the client as well. And how could he not think that the client would ask OP about the game after? That's just beyond stupid. But I have to give credit here to OP and the client. The level of orchestration and the level of execution on this revenge was so perfect that I am now giggling and smiling ear to ear. Suck it, dickhead partner. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my YouTube channel for you to watch absolutely free. So consider clicking that super thanks just below the video title, or you can use my PayPal in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, make sure to subscribe to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.